Yo guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Before I do get started, as always, make sure you drop a like, comment, subscription down below. Turn on these post notifications if you want to see me do more talking basketball videos on the channel. And in this one, we're going to be talking about who I think will make the playoffs from both conferences. We're going to put it all into one big video for you guys on Christmas. Merry Christmas to you all. I love all of you who have been showing me so much love on this journey on YouTube, man. I'm loving it. I'm loving the grind. I'm loving what I'm doing. And now I wanted to show you guys my basketball opinions. So the Western Conference and Eastern Conference are both pretty balanced. They're the most balanced they've been in years, and I'm really excited for this NBA season. Both sides have 10 to 11 playoff teams. Not both sides have 10 to 11 contending teams, but they both have 10 to 11 teams that could make the playoffs, and that could just, I don't know, change their franchise. Who knows? So I recorded this video already. Somehow I forgot about the Dallas Mavericks. I was super deep into the video and I forgot about Dallas. So I'm going to take that into account now. And the 8th seed, I think, is going to be the Phoenix Suns. Now, the Phoenix Suns last year barely missed the 8th seed. They barely missed that play-in tournament. And they added one of the best point guards of all time. They added Chris Paul. They added a great leader. They added Jay Crowder. They added my boy out of Wisconsin. Where is it? There it is. Frank the Tank Kaminsky. He's not a big player in this team, but I love him. That's my boy Frank. I see them being the 8th seed. Devin Booker and Chris Paul. They have Jay Crowder. They have an up-and-coming center, DeAndre Ayton, who looked very good in preseason. They have the point guard that took the Oklahoma City Thunder to the 7th seed and took the Rockets to 7 games. But they were at the 7th seed. Correction. He took the Thunder to the 5th seed in the West, and he did lose in the first round, but they went to 7 games. That was a big thing for Chris Paul, and I think he's a big piece for the Suns. I think he will push the Suns. He will be a needle mover for the Suns and will push them into the playoffs. So for me, at the 7th seed is going to be the Golden State Warriors. Now, I know a lot of people have them a lot higher, but I don't see them going too far, especially with Klay Thompson out for the season. They do have Klay Thompson. They do have Kelly Oubre. They do have James Wiseman, who looked very good in his season opener against the Nets. He had 19 points. He was very efficient. He shot some threes. He showed he could put it up. He had the confidence to shoot it. And I like that out of big men and rookies in general, that they have the confidence to shoot it even if they're not hitting. I like this Warriors team, but I don't see them going super ham in the regular season. I see them being a 7th seed. Especially, I can't put them over the 6 teams that are above them. Yeah, I just can't. I can't see myself doing that. So for me, at the 6th seed is going to be the Utah Jazz. Now, I know this is going to be kind of a hot take, but the Utah Jazz did just extend Rudy Gobert. They secured his services through, what was it, a 5-year deal? 5-year, $205 million. It's a big deal for Rudy, but it's not a very good contract in my eyes, but who cares? They have Donovan Mitchell, the Spider, who played very good in the playoffs last season, especially in the Nuggets series. Him and Jamal Murray were going shot for shot. They both are putting up huge numbers. I do love to see it from the young bloods, but I don't see the Jazz. I couldn't forgive myself if I put the Jazz over the other 5 teams that I'm putting over them in the Western Conference. I couldn't forgive myself for doing it, so I'm not going to do it. And I just don't see the Jazz being above a 6 seed. There's literally no way around it. The other 5 teams that I have above them, literally, I couldn't forgive myself for putting them under the Jazz. In the 5th seed, which I think the Jazz will win in the first round, but I think the 5th seed will be the Houston Rockets. They swapped out what they got the, in my eyes, they got the shorter end of the stick. They downgraded on their point guard position, but John Wall is a better fit. He's a better shooter alongside Harden, which could be good in the playoffs because Russ was being left on an island and he was airballing. He was not having a good time against the Lakers. I mean, they did snag one game, but who cares? They added some good pieces this offseason. They added DeMarcus Cousins. Obviously, they traded for John Wall. They picked up Christian Wood, who's the most improved player candidate. I love that for the Rockets. They have a new front office. They have a new head coach. They have a new general manager. The Rockets are kind of unpredictable. I see them being a 5th seed. I couldn't see them being much. I could see them being a 6th seed, but then you'd have to swap out either the Suns, the Warriors, or the Jazz, and I couldn't forgive myself for leaving out those three. I could forgive myself for leaving out the Pelicans, but I couldn't forgive myself for leaving out the Suns, the Warriors, and the Jazz. So the Rockets will take the 5th seed, and I literally don't see any way around it. The 4th seed is going to be the Denver Nuggets. They've been a very good regular season team through the last few years. They were the 2 seed, I believe, in 2019, and then they were the 3 seed last year behind the Clippers, and they just didn't get much better this offseason. They still have Nikola Jokic, arguably the best center in the league in my eyes. He is the best center in the league, but don't tell Sixers fans that. They have Jamal Murray, who looked very good in the playoffs. He's dropping 50 against the Spider. They had a very good series. Like I said, they went shot for shot. Michael Porter Jr. is back. He's going to be starting for them. Bol Bol looked very good in preseason. I doubt he'll play big minutes in the regular season, but Bol Bol nonetheless did look very nice for them. I see the Nuggets being a 4 seed, especially the last 3 teams in the West. I think the other 3 teams made big enough jumps that I think they will jump up into the top 3. 2 of them are locks, but 1 is debatable. They could move down to 4 or 5. But I see the Nuggets being a 4 seed, especially if Jamal Murray improves and if Michael Porter Jr. is a big needle mover for them. He didn't play much in the regular season, if I remember correctly. Okay, I lied. He played 55 games last year in the regular season. He played 19 in the playoffs. He did play a good amount of basketball, and they were the 3 seed. So I see the Nuggets dropping down to the 4 seed just because I see one team improving and jumping into the top 3, and that is going to be the Dallas Mavericks coming home with the 3 seed. I see them being a very good team. I see Luka being an MVP candidate, arguably the shoo-in for MVP, as long as he continues to improve. He already showed big upside, especially against the Clippers. Everyone knows Luka is a top 5 player in the NBA. If you say otherwise, I think you bugging. Correction, Luka is a top 10 player in the NBA. If you say otherwise, you're bugging. Kristaps Porzingis, as long as he could stay healthy, I think the Mavericks will be a good team. They lost Seth Curry, one of the best shooters off the bench behind George Hill last year, percentage-wise at least. I don't know. I see the Mavericks jumping into the top 3, especially with Luka making strides for the MVP and a big favorite for the MVP this season. I see the Mavs doing big things. I see them taking the 3 seed, and I see them at least getting out of the first round. Especially if they get this high seeding, they will get a much easier first round matchup. I mean, no matchup's really easy in the West, because if they do get the 3 seed and coincide with my prediction, they will be playing. They'll be playing the Utah Jazz. Yes. I believe I had the Jazz at 6 seed. I don't know how I forgot already, but they should have a pretty solid, easy first round matchup. So I see the Mavericks making big strides and jumping into the top 3 in the West. The 2 seed, obviously, is the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm just kidding. It's the Clippers. They're the second best team in the West. They got better this offseason. They brought in a big piece with Serge Ibaka. They lost Trez, but Trez was off the bench. Ibaka, I think they'd be stupid not to start him, especially over Ivica Zubac. I see Ibaka starting. I see the Clippers being a 2 seed. There really isn't much explanation for it. Kawhi, Paul George, Pat Bev, Lou Will, Serge Ibaka. I see them being a 2 seed. And obviously, the 1 seed, the Los Angeles Lakers. If you don't have the Lakers as the 1 seed, I don't know how you're alive. You would get torched on Twitter. They had the best offseason this offseason. They brought in my boy Wes from the Bucks in as their, I don't think he's starting. I think he's coming off the bench. And then they brought in the 6th man of the year and the 6th man of the year snub, Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder. They made big strides this offseason. They paid Kuz. They locked that team in for years. They signed Bron to an extension. They signed AD to an extension. This Lakers team is going to be good for a long time. And they're obviously going to be the 1 seed and arguable favorites to win the championship. So that concludes my Western Conference predictions. We're going to jump over to the Eastern side of the bracket. Now, this one is a bit more rough for me just because the A seed is highly contested. There's 4 teams that I think could be an A seed. That's the Wizards, the Magic, the Hornets, and the Hawks. I don't see any other team like Detroit, Chicago, or the Knicks being a playoff team at all. Or the Pistons. Some people who don't even have the Pacers making the playoffs, but I think the Pacers will still be a playoff team. They didn't change too much this offseason. They just kind of stuck to their mediocre formula. They're kind of in that middle gray area in no man's land where you're not bad enough to make the lottery, but you're not good enough to do anything in the playoffs. That's just kind of where the Pacers are at, and that's just kind of where they'll probably be for a while. So I think the 8th seed in the East will be the Atlanta Hawks. They had a very good offseason. They brought in Gallo. They stole Bogey from the Bucks. They brought in Rondo. They brought in Kendrick Nunn. It's either Kendrick Nunn or Chris Dunn. I get those two mixed up all the time. The Hawks had a very good offseason. Trae Young now has more pieces. I believe they're not extending John Collins. Don't know how that's gonna work out, but I think the Hawks will be an 8th seed. They're finally going to make that jump into the playoffs and out of the lottery. So excited for the Hawks. They've drafted my boy that I drafted in my Wildcat series, Onyeka Okongwu. I definitely see the Hawks being a playoff team. That's not really an unpopular take, and it's not going to be close. The Hawks are going to be better than the Wizards. They're going to be better than the Magic. They're going to be miles better than the Hornets, especially now that Gordon Hayward's injured. If you think LaMelo Ball is going to carry the Hornets to the playoffs, you're bugging. And the 7th seed in the East is going to go to the Indiana Pacers. Not much to say about it. They're still kind of in that no man's land. Like I said earlier, where they're not good enough to do much in the playoffs or make that much noise in the playoffs, other than, bubble TJ. And but they're not bad enough to be in the lottery and get lottery picks. So they're just kind of stuck in no man's land and mediocrity. They have an all-star in Domantas Sabonis. I wanted Miles Turner on the Bucks to keep it a buck with you. But they still have VO. They still have TJ Warren. They still have Malcolm Brogdon. They still have a very good team. But I just don't see them being better than any other team in the East. Other than everyone below them, of course. Not much to say about the Pacers. So this is where it gets tough. The East has 6 teams that I think could make a title run. I think the 6th seed is going to be the Toronto Raptors. Now, they got worse. They lost Serge Ibaka. They lost Marc Gasol. They are a very young team. No knocks to the Raptors. I know Raptors fans hate being counted out, but you guys are not going to be better than the Sixers, than the Celtics, than the Bucks, than the Heat, or the Nets. It's just not going to happen. I could be proven wrong. I didn't think they were going to come back on the Bucks in 2019 in the playoffs. Anything can happen, but I don't see the Raptors being above a 6th seed, unless barring injuries to any other teams like the Nets or the Sixers. I see at full health. If the East is at full health, the Raptors are a 6th seed. So this is going to be kind of a hot take. Well, not really a hot take. I see this in a lot of people's playoff predictions. I think the 5th seed is going to be the Sixers, and I think they will win in the first round. Barring any injuries, if Ben Simmons can stay healthy, I think the Sixers will be a 5 seed. Well, technically, if Ben Simmons stays healthy, they could be higher, of course. They brought in Seth Curry. They brought in Danny Green. They shipped off Josh Richardson, who was not good for them last year. They shipped off Al Horford's terrible contract. I love the moves the Sixers made in the offseason. The Sixers are one of the more underrated teams in the East. And last season, they were a 6th seed when Ben Simmons was injured. And if you add Ben Simmons back to that team, they easily could make a push into the top 4 in the East. But as it stands, I think the Sixers will be no better than a 5 seed. But I can obviously be proven wrong. I've been proven wrong a lot in the past. I see the Sixers being a 5 seed. I am a little biased because I dislike the Sixers, but I see them being a 5 seed. And getting into the nitty gritty, the top 4 in the Eastern Conference, number 4 is going to be the Miami Heat. A lot of people have the Heat being top 3. I don't have the Heat being top 3. They arguably got worse in the offseason. They paid Bam Adebayo big money. Big ups to Bam. I love Bam. He deserved the money. But they lost Jay Crowder, who was a big piece for them. Precious Achiuwa, he's been looking good in preseason. He obviously could take that spot, but I don't know. I feel like the Celtics are going to be really good, especially when Kemba comes back. If the Bucks blow them out tonight, which is pretty likely.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
Because they don't have Kemba. Who knows? I think the Heat will be a 4 seed. The Heat always prove me wrong. Even if they're a 4 seed, they still can make a lot. They still make a lot of noise. They went to the finals as the 5 seed. So the Heat. No disrespect to the Heat. Jimmy G buckets. G stands for gets. Jimmy G is so good. Tyler Hero is great. Duncan Robinson is great. Bam is great. Goran Dragic is great. They have a great team that can light up anybody. They're well coached with arguably the best coach in the league. They have arguably the best front office in the league. Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra. Very good team. I just think the Heat will be a 4 seed. I love the Heat. Not really. They beat the Bucks. But respect to the Heat. They are going to be a 4 seed. And I already spoiled it for you. The 3 seed is going to be the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics did get worse. They added Tristan Thompson. They added Jeff Teague. I'm pretty sure that's it. They drafted Aaron Naismith. They lost Gordon Hayward. I don't think that's a big blow for them. He didn't play much, or he's very injury prone. He gets injured a lot, and I don't think losing Gordon Hayward is a big knock. I don't think losing Gordon Hayward is a big knock for the Celtics. Keep it a buck with you. Gordon Hayward is injury prone. I like that the Celtics got rid of Gordon Hayward. He wasn't that big of a piece, and I think Celtics fans believe that. So I think the Celtics will be a 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. I couldn't forgive myself to put them any higher. I could put them lower. I wanted to put them at the 4 seed and the Heat at the 3 seed, but the Heat can prove me wrong. But as it stands, the Celtics are going to be the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. And then the top 2 in the East, the 2 teams that are highly predicted to go to the NBA Finals to represent the Eastern Conference, the Nets and the Bucks. I think the Nets will be the 2 seed, purely barring any injury to Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving. They will make a lot of noise in the Eastern Conference. They will be the 1 or 2 seed. They're fairly interchangeable. The Nets have the better team, arguably. You want me to give that up? No. The Nets arguably have the better team. They have one of the most talented players of all time. They have one of the best ball handlers of all time on their team. They're going to be very good. They have Karis LeVert stepping into the starting 5. Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench. They have DeAndre Jordan. I think Jared Allen should start, but DeAndre Jordan starting. They have Joe Harris, one of the best shooters in the league. They're a very good team. They blew out the Warriors last night. I knew they were going to blow out the Warriors. I didn't know they were going to blow them out as much as they did. I thought it was going to be like a 15, 12 point deficit, but I think the Nets will be a 2 seed. I see the Bucks being the 1 seed, and we're going to talk about the Bucks now, the 1 seed. I see the Bucks being the 1 seed because they've notoriously been one of the better teams in the regular season. This is not me saying the Bucks will win the Eastern Conference, because obviously it has not been so in the last 2 seasons, even as them being the 1 seed and having the league MVP and having these really dominant seasons. They have not made much noise in the playoffs, but they've always been dominant in the regular season. People fail to forget that. And that's why, if you guys want to roast me in the comments below for putting the Bucks at the 1 seed, go for it. You can call me biased, but I see the Bucks being the 1 seed. They have been notoriously dominant in the regular season, especially in the last 2 seasons. We've been the 1 seed back-to-back, 60 wins in 2019, and we're on pace to win 70 in 2020. I see the Bucks being a 1 seed. Even if we don't go too super far in the playoffs, the Bucks will be the 1 seed. We always make a lot of noise in the regular season because a lot of teams have their foot off the gas, and we are just in go mode, especially with Giannis. Giannis goes ape shit every game. So I see the Bucks being the 1 seed. If you want to leave me your playoff brackets down below, let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you would change. And I know this is a different style video for me, but I want to talk basketball more on the channel. I want to expand more just from 2K and start talking basketball, doing these little sit downs, just me and the mic talking basketball, you know what I'm saying? So let's gonna end this one off. If you did enjoy, as always, make sure you drop a like, comment, description down below. Turn on those post notifications so you get the first ones to see all of these videos. I'm coming to the mic this time. Peace.